Have you ever spent an entire hour reading a fascinating chapter in a book, only to close the cover and realize you can't remember a single specific thing you just read? It's like your brain is a bucket with a massive hole in the bottom. You're pouring in the information, but it's just draining out onto the floor. You aren't stupid, I promise. You're actually a victim of a biological brain glitch called the illusion of competence. We've been taught how to read, but we were never taught how to learn. Our brains are naturally wired to prioritize efficiency over accuracy, which means if something feels easy to read, your brain tricks you into thinking you've mastered it. It's a total lie. Today, we're diving into the science of why your study methods are failing you and how to stop the leaking bucket effect. I'm Willow, and this is why your brain is broken. Stick around until the end, because I'm going to reveal the 10-second mastery trick that forces your brain to hit the save button on everything you learn. Let's count down the 8 reasons your brain is forgetting and how to fix it. Number 8, the highlighter trap. We've all been there. You have a neon yellow highlighter, and by the time you're done with a page, it looks like a glowing sun. It feels productive, right? You're selecting the important stuff. But neurologically, highlighting is actually a form of passive consumption. When you highlight, your brain marks that information as stored elsewhere. Since it's literally glowing on the page, your brain thinks, cool, I don't need to keep that in my neurons because it's preserved in neon. It's called offloading. You are essentially telling your brain it's okay to forget it. Research shows that highlighting is one of the least effective ways to actually retain information. It creates a false sense of familiarity. You recognize the words when you see them again, but you haven't actually built the neural pathways to retrieve them from scratch. If you want to remember it, you have to stop painting the page and start challenging your mind. Highlighting is just coloring. Learning is a workout. Number 7, the fluency glitch. This is the most dangerous trick your brain plays on you. Have you ever reread a paragraph 3 times and thought, yeah, I totally get this? That's fluency, not mastery. Because the text is now familiar to your eyes, your brain stops working hard to process the meaning. It glides over the words like a skater on ice. This creates the illusion of competence. You think you know it because you recognize it. But recognition and recall are 2 completely different brain functions. Recognition is seeing a face and knowing you've seen it before. Recall is being able to say their name, their birthday, and where they went to school without looking at an ID card. When you're just rereading, you are training your eyes to be fast, but you aren't training your brain to be deep. To break the fluency glitch, you have to close the book and try to explain the concept out loud to an empty room. If you can't say it, you don't know it. Number 6, ignoring the forgetting curve. Biology is working against you. In the 1880s, psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered that human memory decays at a terrifyingly predictable rate. Without active review, you will forget about 50% of what you learned within 20 minutes. Within 24 hours, 70% of it is gone. By the end of the week, you're lucky if you remember 10%. It's like trying to build a sandcastle while the tide is coming in. If you only learn something once, you are essentially wasting your time because your brain's delete function is more powerful than its save function. The only way to flatten this curve is through intervention. You have to remind your brain that this information is valuable before the tide washes it away. Most people think they have a bad memory, but they actually just have a bad schedule. Your brain needs a reason to keep the data, and that reason is repetition. If you don't use it, you lose it. Literally. Number 5, the secret weapon, active recall. This is where we start winning. If you want to fix your broken learning, you have to stop putting things in and start pulling things out. Think of your memory like a giant, messy warehouse. Learning isn't about how many boxes you can shove through the front door. It's about how quickly you can find a specific box and bring it back out. When you test yourself, even if you get the answer wrong, you are forcing your brain to build a search path to that information. Every time you struggle to remember a fact, you are physically strengthening the neural bridge to that memory. It should feel difficult. If it feels easy, you aren't learning. Real learning is a desirable difficulty. Instead of reading a page again, cover the page and ask yourself, what were the 3 main points? This struggle is the sound of your brain actually growing. It's like lifting weights for your mind. No pain, no gain. Number 4, spaced repetition. If active recall is the weight, spaced repetition is the workout schedule. You don't get six-pack abs by doing 1,000 crunches in one day and then never doing them again. Your brain works the exact same way. Cramming for 10 hours is a recipe for total forgetting. To hack your memory, you need to review the information just as you are about to forget it. This refreshes the memory and tells your brain, hey, this is important, keep it in the long-term vault. The intervals should get longer. Review it after 1 day, then 3 days, then a week, then a month. This is the cheat code used by polyglots who learn 5 languages. They aren't smarter than you, they just know how to time their brain's save function. There are amazing apps like Anki or Quizlet that do the math for you, so you don't have to. You're not working harder, you're just working spaced. Number 3, the Feynman Technique. Named after the legendary physicist Richard Feynman, this is the ultimate test of true understanding. The rule is simple. If you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. Most of the time, we hide our lack of knowledge behind jargon and complex words. We use big words to fool ourselves into thinking we know what we're talking about. To use this technique, take a blank sheet of paper and write the concept at the top. Then, write out an explanation as if you're teaching it to a child. Avoid the fancy terms. If you get stuck or find yourself using buzzwords, that is exactly where your brain glitch is located. Go back to the source material, fix that specific hole, and try again. Teaching is the highest form of learning. When you teach, you are forced to organize the information in the most logical, unbreakable way. Plus, it's much more fun to be the teacher than the student, right? Number 2, the save button, sleep. This is the part most people ignore, but it's the most critical. You don't actually learn while you are awake. You learn while you are asleep. During the day, your hippocampus, the brain's temporary storage, collects all your experiences like a digital camera roll. But that storage is limited. While you sleep, your brain performs memory consolidation. It moves those memories from the temporary hippocampus to the long-term cortex. It's like moving files from a thumb drive to a permanent hard drive. If you pull an all-nighter to study, you are essentially taking 1,000 photos and then smashing the camera before you can upload them. Sleep deprivation literally blocks the physical growth of the connections between your neurons. If you want to remember that 90% you usually forget, you need to give your internal architect 8 hours of dark, quiet time to do the construction work. Sleep isn't time off. It's the most productive part of your day. And the number 1 reason your learning is failing: block practice. Most people study subject A for 3 hours, then subject B for 3 hours. This is a mistake. It's called interleaving, and it's the secret of elite learners. Your brain gets bored and goes on autopilot when you do the same thing for too long. By mixing up different subjects or different types of problems, doing 15 minutes of math, then 15 minutes of history, then 15 minutes of Spanish, you force your brain to constantly reload the rules for each subject. It feels much harder and more frustrating, but that's the point. Interleaving forces your brain to notice the differences between concepts, which leads to much deeper understanding. It's like cross-training for your mind. Instead of hitting the same muscle over and over until it's numb, you're keeping the whole system alert and agile. If you want to stay sharp, stop being predictable. Mix it up, keep your brain guessing, and watch your retention skyrocket. So, we've fixed the leaking bucket. By avoiding the highlighter trap, embracing the struggle of active recall, and giving your brain the sleep it needs, you're already ahead of 99% of people. But I promised you the 10-second mastery trick, and here it is, the reflection pause. Every time you finish a page, a video, or a conversation, stop for exactly 10 seconds. Close your eyes and summarize the one big idea you just encountered in a single sentence. That's it. This tiny pause forces your brain to perform an immediate active recall while the info is still fresh, which signals to your hippocampus that this data is worth keeping. It's the difference between seeing and observing. If you made it to the end of this video, you just did your brain a huge favor. Use that 10-second trick right now. What was the most surprising thing you learned today? Tell me in the comments, and let's start building those neural pathways together. I'm Willow. Keep learning, keep hacking that broken brain, and mind yourself. I'll see you in the next one.